It's time for a mailbag here on NFL Daily, answering all of your questions. I am Tom Downey, and first up is Skyler. Should Carolina look at Penn State's quarterback in the second round? If you want to go take a quarterback, here's the issue I still have for Carolina, even though my Bryce Young angle ended up being wrong. This team is still, I don't think, that good. I think there's a lot of holes because of all the stuff you gave up to get Bryce Young. So if you're spending another premium pick at quarterback on a shaky roster, you're still kind of setting up massive concerns and success for the new young guy. Is Drew Allar, the Penn State quarterback, the answer? Maybe. Honestly, if I were Carolina and I bottom out and finish with a top 5 pick in a shaky QB class, I'm not going to take one. I'll trade down. I'll acquire more assets. I'll tank again. And maybe it's Arch Manning. Maybe it's Jaxson. Maybe it's Nico Iamaleava, however you pronounce it, out of Tennessee. Maybe one of those young guys in what looks like a better 2026 class. I think that puts me in a better shape, better spot to win games than, taking a Will Levis type of guy in the second round. From Ray, what are the Bears going to do with the offensive line? I do think you have schematic issues up front. Look, Shane Waldron didn't get great pass blocking out of the Seahawks last year. We thought that was maybe the personnel in Seattle. Minimal changes in Seattle. Pass blocking looks better with Ryan Grubb and company up there. And now those issues are in Chicago. Like, Darnell Wright shouldn't be getting beat this badly. Nate Davis is an issue. Your center is an issue. There aren't options available. Again, a lot of these core problems, you solve those in March. Solve those in April. Not in September. So you're going to have to scheme stuff better. And that maybe is an issue, and why some, not everyone, said, hey, you should go get a different offensive-minded head coach and not waste a year potentially of the Caleb Williams contract. It's only 2 games, but they got to figure some stuff out. From Bobby Thrill, at what point will the Broncos decide to trade Courtland Sutton? So there's 2 schools of thought here. I think both have pros and cons. You are rebuilding in Denver. Get what you can. If the player involved isn't going to be a part of when you're ready to compete and win real games. The other school of thought is that works in some areas, but you need to maximize the development of your young QB. And I don't think many of us believe that a offensive core in Denver that features Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin and now on IR Audric Estime and Marvin Mims, Josh Reynolds, it's just not a good group of wide receivers if you trade away Courtland Sutton. And I think you need to figure out quickly if Bo Nix is your guy. And taking away his best playmaker and going with Josh Reynolds, Devon Velley, who's almost 30 as a rookie, seriously, Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin, that's not a good group. That's not a good wide receiving core. So I would wonder, for Denver's perspective, unless you get blown away by an offer, maybe you're better off keeping Courtland Sutton and trying to kickstart the growth of Bo Nix. That might be more valuable than the 3rd-round pick that they turned down for him. So will the Broncos trade Courtland Sutton? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments of today's video. From Lord, do you believe the Niners special teams coach? I'm a bit worried about the special teams coach and head coach will be fired by the end of the season. I'd be very surprised if they fired Kyle Shanahan. I get that for the Niners, maybe more so than except for the Chiefs out there. It is Super Bowl or bust. And that is everything else except for a championship in San Francisco just isn't enough because they've been so close for so long. It's different than other teams, right? If you fire Kyle Shanahan, there would be teams out there secretly backdooring saying, hey, you want to come here? We'll fire our head coach. And they'll take the Rooney Rule violations. They don't care because it would get them a lot closer than where they currently are at. So I think you're going to fire Shanahan. Special teams coach? Maybe. Kind of like the long snapper. If you know your special teams coach's name, something bad may have happened. Now, there are exceptions. Like they're doing fun stuff and creative stuff. But, you're saying his name a lot. It means something bad probably happened. Drips. Who would you rather have if you were the Giants? Quinn Ewers, Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe, Jaxson Dart, or Carson Beck? Reverse order. I think I'm going to cross off Jaxson Dart first. I like him. He's tough. The Lane Kiffin offense does not mold itself to high-level NFL quarterback play. It is a Mickey Mouse offense that works so well in college football. I don't think there's the physical skill set to justify him being more than QB5 on that list. I'm going to cross off, honestly, pros and cons, everyone beyond that. Quinn Ewers looked better the first 3 games. Now he's hurt. What's going to happen there? Can you go away from March Manning if he's balling out because of who he is? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. He looked better, but also that's like a 3-game sample size. There's still deep ball outside issues. I love what I've seen from Cam Ward through 3 games. Not good competition so far. He balled out for the first 4 or 5 games last year, then fell apart. Got to see him do an entire season, and that's the case. If he plays great all year, he's going to win the Heisman Trophy. He'll probably be the number 1 overall pick. Jalen Milroe's got a ton of talent, arm strength, mobility. He's not great in the intermediate and holds the ball too damn long. That's got to be ironed out still. Carson Beck is like a Jared Goff type of player. Like, is he? I think you're going to get a good quarterback, not a superstar quarterback. Do you want to gamble on the higher upside stuff? It's all things you kind of got to balance and figure out. It makes for a very tough question and one that we can't really answer until the college football season wraps up, but it does make for a good question as well. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, over 5 million active members. Unlike other apps, and this is what I like most about Prize Picks, it is just you against the numbers. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. Watch your winnings roll in. One of my favorite features they're doing in the month of September only, 1 Caleb Williams passing yard, as decidedly mediocre as the Bears have been, gets you 1 win, though, on Prize Picks. Just got to get the yard. Half yard more. Easy. It's 4 weeks of free W's. Some other ones I'm doing as we get ready for week 3 of the NFL. I'm taking CeeDee Lamb more than on the receiving yards. The Ravens' pass defense has been a little shaky. Cowboys have to feed CeeDee Lamb. And the Cowboys' run defense is bad still. Hit outside zone with Derrick Henry for chunk plays. He could do that on 1 run against Dallas, honestly. I'm a little surprised it's only 68.5. So I'm a big fan of that option there. So download the Prize Picks app and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play 5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play 5. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Double O Sports, will Jeffery Simmons be on the block in a couple of weeks? I'm going to go with doubtful, but it's a fun superstar dark horse name. I will give you credit on that one. I am very curious how Tennessee plays the next month. Because I think they're in a Denver situation. You want to see if Will Levis is your guy or not. Their defense is actually pretty darn good, though. Like, even if Levis isn't the guy, they might think they're 1 guy away from competing next year at QB. And that might keep them from selling fully on guys like Simmons and others. Skyler trade John Metchie to Dallas. Sure, John Metchie's kind of buried on a pretty good Texans depth chart. Former second-round pick out of Alabama. He hasn't been able to get on the field. The issue for both teams here is Houston's not going to get much back for a player that they probably still like. And if you're Dallas, are you convinced he's more than a wide receiver? Because I think for the Cowboys in particular, it's not that they need bodies. Like, yeah, he's better than Jalen Brooks. I think we all know that. But does that move your needle properly? They kind of need dudes. They don't need options at wide receiver. They need great options at wide receiver. I don't know if Metchie's that guy. Now, of the receiver options, I think he could certainly be available, though, so it makes sense. They got to figure out if that's the type of caliber of player that they need to go acquire. Adam, Haason Reddick going to show up this week. Boy, the Jets sure could use him after the unfortunate Jermaine Johnson injury. We'll see if I look dumb or not, since this isn't going to go out till like Saturday. or Friday, and we're filming this on a Tuesday. But what will the Jets end up doing with Haason Reddick? T, if they're going to trade him, ship him off somewhere else. I think Arizona makes so much sense still. P, if they're going to pay him, they're going to freak out after the Jermaine Johnson injury, give him a nice contract, or N for nothing. And they're just going to, call their bets, and they're going to call the bluff still. Get your votes in for me in the comments of today's show. From Ray, if the Bears don't win the next game, offensive coach should get fired. You can't do that. Like, I get that the offense has been bad and there's concerns there. You also need to have stability. Like, you can't just keep shuffling coordinators out every month. Like, you have to give him more time than that. Because otherwise, you're setting up a cycle of failure. You're going to have this offensive coach in there for half the season. Then another one. Then you're going to fire the head coach. And now you're on the third offensive staff in less than a year. And that's not a recipe for success. You have to give him more time and give them chances to kind of right the ship. Now, if you want to be a part of our mailbags, then you got to be subscribed. Otherwise, you're just going to miss out on everything. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. From DC Times Viper, which team has had the biggest turnaround this year who was awful last year? Early returns that are positive, right? Like from teams that were very bad. Chargers certainly stand out. Competent coaching goes a long way. Much tougher level of competition still to come. I feel pretty good about the Cardinals. I don't think they're going to be a worse to first team, but I like what I've seen so far. Vikings have now the quarterback's healthy. Good things are happening for them, right? But the Commanders are technically first in their division. I don't know if I buy that, but it's one worth mentioning. Jets probably win more games if they're healthy. Patriots also look more competent too. I mean, they're already a fourth of their way to their win total from last year, right? That one Falcons fan, if the Falcons upset the Eagles, what's the possibility that they beat the Chiefs? What's the spread in that game? I would not say great. I think because you've got a Chiefs team that's a little bit mad over what happened last week because they did not play very well. The line in that game, it's a home game for Atlanta. Primetime Kirk was pretty good on Monday Night Football. Chiefs are only 3.5-point favorites. That's decent. That's not a big spread for Atlanta. Tells me that game's going to be more competitive than maybe most people think. Connor, what's the best fit for Bryce Young to make him not awful? I got two teams in mind. Like, that maximize him. Maybe not the team needs the most. I think the Rams, Sean McVay, and let him develop behind Matthew Stafford for a half season, a full season, 2 years, whatever. That's a shortcut to not having it be Stetson Bennett the fourth out there. I think Miami stands out right now because there's massive uncertainty with Tua, and I think Bryce Young's best fit is a quick passing game, and that's what Miami does a lot of. And if you have McDaniel in there and you get him to buy in and have some more confidence and not dance around so much, I think that could fit pretty decently. Now, there's a real chance he's just broken. Have to acknowledge that. I don't think it's going to be Carolina in 2025 for Bryce Young. I think that race done been run. So where will Bryce Young play in 2025? Let me know in the comments of today's show. From Gaming Wizard, who was more impressive, the Bucks or the Saints? My answer is yes. Frankly, I think it was both teams that were more impressive. That were impressive. Like, Bucks went on the road, took care of a Lions team that I think was really good, or not on the road, but whatever. Again, Lions team that was very talented, viewed as a contender. Same with the Saints and the Cowboys. So take your pick. It's 1A, 1B. I think I'd give it to the Saints, but that's not a slight at all against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. From Drips11, if Joe Shane gets fired, who's a good candidate for the Giants GM? Bill Belichick. That's your answer. Bill Belichick gets to be head coach and GM in New York. That would not surprise me at all if he's coaching somewhere in the NFC East this upcoming season. With that said, And you got to think long and hard about other GM options. I think you're going to call the successful front offices. You make calls about trying to get Will McClay from the Cowboys, as teams seemingly do every single season. You make calls, teams like the Chiefs, the 49ers, teams that have been consistently good. The Lions started to get some poaching last year. You try to find successful organizations and steal their top lieutenants and make them your generals. Works pretty well more often than not.